charger because I was at a baseball game.
Oh yeah, how'd your son do?
Oh, he's on fire.
Nice.
Yep, he's on fire.
Oh, snap. I'm about to start soon. I'm about to start. Thank you. Good evening.
You want to sign me up too?
Good evening. I would like to call to order the Schenectady City Caucus meeting. Good evening. I would like to call to order the Schenectady City Caucus meeting for Tuesday, May 26th. We have 3 items for public hearing. If the clerk would please read item number 1.
Item number 1 under public hearing regarding the 2026-2027 Annual Action Plan.
Discuss in committee without objection on consent. Item number 2.
Item number 2 under public hearing regarding amending Section 186-25 Central Park Tennis Courts Fees and Reservation System.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 3.
Item number 3 under public hearing regarding amending Chapter 161 of the Schenectady City Code, Garbage, Rubbish, and Refuse regarding the requirements and standards for the collection of solid waste and recyclables and the setting of rates and penalties.
We have 24 items for original consideration. If the clerk would please read item number 1.
Item number 1 for original consideration, a resolution authorizing the mayor to renew the contract with Mohawk Ambulance Service.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 2.
Item number 2 under original consideration, a resolution authorizing the Quake Technologies contract.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 3.
Item number 3 under original consideration, a resolution authorizing the implementation and funding in the first instance 100% of the federal aid and state Marchicelli program aid eligible costs of a transportation federal aid project and approving funds for the Craig Street pavement and bridge rehab, New York State DOT PIN number 1761.69, therefore.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 4.
Item number 4 under original consideration, a resolution adopting the Vision Zero policy.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 5.
Item number 5 for original consideration, a resolution authorizing the implementation and funding in the first instance 100% of the federal aid and state Marchicelli program aid eligible costs of a transportation federal aid project and appropriating funds for the Craig Street pavement and bridge rehab, New York State DOT PIN number 1761.69, therefore.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 6.
Item number 6 for original consideration, a resolution approving and authorizing the City of Schenectady to apply to the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation for a 2026 New York Places for Learning, Activity, and Youth Socialization, New York Plays grant.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 7.
Item number 7 for original consideration, a resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Finance or his designee to accept the New York State Department of State for a state and municipalities grant in the amount of $125,000 for the LED lighting of the exterior of City Hall.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 8.
Item number 8 for original consideration, a resolution authorizing an agreement with the Capital District YMCA for the 2026 HUD Continuum of Care.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 9.
Item number 9 under original consideration, a resolution authorizing the sale of 814 Bedford Road for $60,000.
Discussed in committee without objection and on consent. Item number 10.
Item number 10 for original consideration, a resolution authorizing the sale of a vacant lot at 876 Maplewood Avenue for $17,699.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 11.
Item number 11 for original consideration, a resolution authorizing the sale of a vacant lot, SBL number 49.46-5-45, on Guilderland Avenue for $2,000.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 12.
Item number 12 for original consideration, a resolution authorizing the sale of a vacant lot on Gilderland Avenue, 48.68-2-18.2 for $2,500.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 13.
Item number 13 for original consideration, a resolution authorizing the sale of a vacant lot at 1118 4th Avenue, 49.46-5-45 for $2,000.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 14.
Item number 14 for original consideration, a resolution authorizing the sale of a vacant lot at 1121 7th Avenue for $8,500.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 15.
Item number 15 for original consideration, a resolution authorizing the sale of a vacant lot at 1234 4th Avenue for $6,000.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 16.
Item number 16 for original consideration, a resolution authorizing the sale of 1679 Broadway for $5,500.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 17.
Item number 17 for original consideration, a resolution rescinding Resolution 2026-067, sale of 814 Bedford Road.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 18.
Item number 18 for original consideration, a resolution rescinding Resolution 2025-194, sale of 1118 4th Avenue.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 19.
Item number 19 for original consideration, a resolution authorizing the assignment of an option agreement with Better Community Neighborhoods, Inc. to the Land Reutilization Corporation of the Capital Region.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 20.
Item number 20 under original consideration, a resolution authorizing the redemption of 1029 Ostrander Place.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 21.
Item number 21 for original consideration, a resolution authorizing settlement of a claim with Farm Family Casualty, ASO Kyle Stewart.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 22.
Item number 22 for original consideration, a resolution recognizing AFS CME Local 1037 for their donation of trees for Earth Day.
This item will be taken out of order and presented by Councilwoman Wiggins. I apologize. And as we discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 23.
Item number 23 for original consideration, a resolution recognizing Mental Health Awareness Month.
This item will be presented at a later date by Councilman Chairs. This item was discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 24.
Item number 24 under contract and supply, a resolution awarding the bid and contract for the Knott Street sidewalk improvements to Carver Construction Incorporated in the total amount of $284,174.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. If there are nothing more to fall before the city caucus, I would ask for a motion to adjourn. Moved by Mr. Mudavarian, second by Mr. Chairs. All those in favor? Aye. I'd like to call to order the Schenectady City Council meeting for Tuesday, May 26th. I will be reading the prayer, followed by Councilwoman DeToro presenting the Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone is willing and able, please stand. Gracious God, you are the only source of life and health. Help, comfort, and relieve us, and give your power to the healing to those who can minister our needs. We pray that our weaknesses may be turned into strength and confidence in your love and care for the sake of Jesus Christ. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If the clerk would please take the roll.
Mr. Chairs? Ms. DeToro? Mr. Engert is absent. Mr. Mutavaran?
Present.
Ms. Patrick is absent. Ms. Wiggins? Present. Mr. Williams?
Present. Thank you. So we have 3 public hearings for this evening. I would like to remind the public that the speaking time will be extended to 4 minutes. Public hearing number 1 regarding the 2026-2027 Annual Action Plan. We have 3 individuals signed up to speak, the first of which is Ellie Pepper.
Good evening, Council. My name's Ellie Pepper. I live in the Eastern Ave neighborhood. I appreciate the work that went into putting the plan together, and I'm glad to see continued investment in affordable housing, homelessness prevention, neighborhood stabilization, and community development. I especially want to express support for the proposed home repair and rehab funding. Schenectady has an aging housing stock, and many homeowners, especially seniors, low-income households, and longtime residents, are struggling to keep up with repairs, accessibility modifications, deferred maintenance, and rising costs. Preserving existing housing is just as important as building new housing. The proposed rehabilitation funding is a good start, but of course it's nowhere near enough to meet the actual need in the community. Every year, more homes deteriorate because families simply can't afford major repairs. Once properties decline too far, they become dramatically more expensive to restore, and in some cases are lost entirely from the affordable housing stock. If we're serious about neighborhood stabilization and preserving affordable home ownership opportunities, we need to continue expanding these investments in rehab, preservation, and accessibility improvements before families reach a crisis point. I was also glad to see the proposed funding for BCNI's housing counseling and first-time homebuyer education work, because prevention-focused services like these help stabilize families before they enter a crisis. Interventions that works across the entire housing continuum. Housing counselors help renters avoid eviction, help homeowners avoid foreclosure, help first-time buyers and help households improve budgeting, credit, and financial capability before they reach a crisis point. And these services are more important now than ever because of the recent changes HUD has made to this year's Housing Counseling Notice of Funding Opportunity. These changes significantly narrowed the types of counseling activities eligible for HUD reimbursement. Most notably, traditional pre-purchase counseling was largely excluded from reimbursable activities, despite the fact that sustainable homeownership remains one of the strongest tools for long-term neighborhood stability and wealth building. At the same time, housing counseling agencies are facing rising operational costs. Demand for services continues to increase. In other words, agencies are being asked to do more with fewer stable federal resources. That makes this local investment and support even more. Helping a family remain stably housed is better and less expensive than trying to build stability after the housing has already been lost. Finally, I want to briefly address transparency and accessibility around the city budget and planning process. We do not need to be policy wonks or data experts to understand where dollars are going and what outcomes these investments are producing. Too often, budget documents and planning materials are difficult for ordinary residents to navigate or fully understand. Improving accessibility and transparency helps build trust and encourages stronger community participation. Clearer, more user-friendly information about housing investments, neighborhood impacts, and measurable outcomes would help residents better understand where resources are going, which communities are benefiting, and where additional needs still exist. I do hope encouraging community participation is a goal of our city leaders. Thank you.
John Kolotsky. John Knutson. Apologize.
Central Park tennis court fees and reservation system. So you've got a draft in here without anyone talking to anybody who plays tennis.
Excuse me, sir, I'll pause your time.
I'm sorry, you have a draft here without anybody, without talking with anybody who plays tennis.
Excuse me, sir, if this was regarding the tennis fees for the USTA, that is going to be our third,
It's page 15.
our second public hearing. This is the public hearing for the annual action plan.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
The public comment so far is for the annual action plan. It seems as though your comments are meant for the second public hearing, sir.
I thought this was for the action, this isn't the action plan, it's page 15 of the action plan.
Okay, I apologize. Continue, sir.
What?
Continue, sir.
So on page 15 of the action plan, you have the fee and reservation system. And it's made up by somebody who has never played tennis. None of us know really how the courts will work, because we may get a lot of interest, or we may just get the same amount of interest we had in the past. So you're going to use the gate reservation system, it says. You're going to have the Commission of General Services make up rules and procedures. I don't even know who the Commissioner of General Services is, but I can assure you he doesn't play tennis. There's a rule in there that when you make reservations, you make them at 3 courts at a time. So Wednesday mornings, STA has it's sort of a tournament system where they use 4 courts, and the people move up or down the courts depending on the better or worse, and they move up and down every week. The problem is it's 4 courts. So when they tried to reserve 4 courts, they couldn't, because they could reserve 3 courts, which is a pod, but they couldn't reserve 4 courts. Maybe there's something that makes sense here, but it doesn't, not clear to me how it makes sense. So these things are sort of getting voted on without really looking into or knowing how it's going to work.
Thank you. I have no one else signed up to speak for public hearing number 1. So I'll transition to public hearing number 2. Regarding amending section 186 I would say I recommend you should have this language business, just because it comes across as very, I don't know how you can separate the fact that you're a council person and then go into the other side of the agreement. I apologize. So we'll move to public hearing number 2, which is regarding amending section 186-25 of Central Park Tennis Courts. Central Park Tennis Courts for the fee and reservation system. We have 10 individuals signed up to speak, the first of which is Anita Russo.
Good evening, council members. I'm Anita Russo, president of the Schenectady Tennis Association. We are requesting a meeting regarding the legislation to amend section 186-25, the tennis courts fee and reservation system. The proposed amendment with its annual and per hour fees is a big change, and change is likely to be resisted. The tennis courts are currently free to use like all other activities in the park. STA is concerned that the requirement for the proposed prepaid ID cards and the $15 per hour per court usage fee for the new courts will adversely impact our membership numbers. Central Park has been STA's home for 66 years. We are hopeful that we can continue, but fearful that we will lose members. The Smart Gate system will only work if people use it. We suggest a gradual imposition of fees. The Smart Gate system could be used without fees in 2026. If our membership doesn't decline significantly, then a small fee for the ID cards could be imposed for 2027. Likewise, commencing in 2028, if the use of the courts has not declined in 2027, a low hourly rate can be introduced. Please help us maintain an active membership that supports a healthy activity in our beautiful park. We look forward to meeting with you and to discuss options that can benefit both STA and to the city. Thank you, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Heather Meany.
Good evening, City Council President Williams and members of the City Council. My name is Heather Meany, and I'm a proud resident of the City of Schenectady. First, I want to thank you for your service to the City of Schenectady and its residents. I know we all love Schenectady and that you want to do what's in the best interest of city residents. So I urge you to please reconsider any proposals to charge Schenectady city residents for use of the tennis courts at Central Park. The tennis courts in the park have been a wonderful place to play tennis for everyone, kids, adults, families, free of charge as part of a public park. But the new proposed fee system will drastically change all of this. A $15 per hour per court fee for quote-unquote all users, residents and non-residents, on top of the annual fee for the identification card, changes who can participate. It creates a financial barrier for many people, from those who play often to kids and adults who want to try playing tennis. It would naturally turn to their local public park to play. Schenectady residents already fund the park through taxes. So by charging a court fee and an annual fee, we're being asked to pay twice. Improving your tennis skills requires repetition. So someone who wanted to play for a few hours 3 to 4 times a week would now have to pay $200 a week. It's not realistic for anyone's budget. A kid from Schenectady, like me, who wants to walk to Central Park and play tennis for a couple of hours would need to pay $30. Central Park is a public park, and having the tennis courts locked up and requiring a fee to access them kind of goes against everything a public park is about. Something wonderful is also lost through the proposed strict reservation system. Gone will be the days of visiting the public park to practice your serve and join in spontaneous pickup games. The courts are usually empty during the day. Could there be hours during the day when a reservation isn't required? I would appreciate your consideration in not charging city residents an hourly fee to use the courts. And if an identification card is required, I ask that city residents have a lower annual fee, similar to how city residents are able to play golf at Schenectady Muni at a lower cost. I really appreciate being able to share these thoughts with you and your consideration for keeping tennis accessible for everyone. Thank you.
Chris Lee and Alexander Kaiser.
Hello. So, dear members of the Schenectady City Council, thank you very much for taking public comments about the newly renovated tennis courts at Central Park. As someone who has used these courts a lot myself, and having seen how beneficial they are to our whole community, I'm concerned about the proposal to implement fees for the usage of these new courts. Before being renovated, the courts were still in very usable condition. If given the choice between continuing to use the old courts for free or getting brand new courts but having to pay a fee each time to use them, I personally would have preferred to keep the free old courts. And having talked to many of my tennis friends who are here with me today, they also feel the same way. However, we hadn't been given that option. If the city had planned to impose fees on the new courts from the start, then a public hearing should have been held to take community opinions on this matter. Now, an electronic lock system has already been installed on the courts without a public hearing, and this, in my opinion, is a violation of due process law. I have heard that in the past, there actually was a nominal fee to use the courts, which was a membership fee paid once a year. If a fee must be imposed on the new courts, it should be reasonable. And in my opinion, reasonable means just enough to cover the cost of maintaining the courts. A facility within a public park should always be first and foremost for the usage of the public and should never be intended to generate revenue for the city. If there's any uncertainty on this matter, I encourage the council to go back and look for the covenant included when the land was first donated for the founding of Central Park. I am confident that in that covenant, there is a provision which requires that the land be reserved for the enjoyment of all members of our community and not for profit making of any kind. And this brings me to my third and final point, which is that the proposed fee collection will serve to exclude those who cannot afford to pay and will only benefit those who can pay. This is de facto discrimination against the poor, and it is a violation of equality and democracy, principles that our country stands so proudly for. Thank you very much for your time.
Imran Shah.
Hello, City Council. My name is Imran Shah. Thank you for all the work and service that you provide to our community. I've been a member of the STA for a few years and a proud resident of Schenectady County, since 2008. I've been playing tennis for the last 18 years, I think, and have been observing the benefits of playing at Central Park with a growing community, especially post-COVID. And one of the things that I've noticed is that with the fees that are being proposed, this is going to punish members of the local public tennis enthusiasts who are active and trying to be healthy. There is an apparent shortage of good courts accessible to the public. Tennis in the park is a tradition for many generations. These fees would stifle that. Central Park has been a great asset to the capital region, and these tennis courts are a major contributor in recent years with the post-COVID popularity of tennis. These courts draw many people from near and far to play, compete, learn, and teach. These courts also strengthen the sense of a healthy local community across multiple generations, as you can see behind me. The proposed fees will weaken this. Please reconsider this unfair tax or penalty on a population trying to do the right things to be healthy. Thank you for your time.
Cynthia Farmer.
Good evening, Council. My name is Cynthia Farmer, and I am a proud resident of Schenectady, taxpayer, and someone who has used the courts at Central Park for several years. I began playing tennis back in 2020 during COVID. We just was walking through the park, and Marion and I was walking, and we saw that it was the tennis court, and we was like, yeah, maybe we should start playing tennis. So Jimmy, who was the coach up there, he taught us how to play. And we haven't stopped playing since, and I enjoyed it. I met a lot of new friends. I retired back in 2022, and I joined the retirement group of people, STA, and we just have a good time. And I just think that I oppose the charge for $15 an hour to use the public tennis court that our tax dollars have already supported. At this time, during this time right now with, oh, I lost my spot, hold on, here, oh dear. Okay. Sorry, I lost my spot. That's what happens when you use your phone. Okay. At a time when families are already struggling with inflation, raising grocery prices, bills, high utility costs, and increased rent, and the everyday pressures of simply trying to make the ends meet, the last things residents need is another fee placed on them on something that has always been a free and healthy community outlet. For many people, these courts are not a luxury. They are exercise, stress relief, social connection, and one of the few affordable recreational activities available to the residents of all ages. Public parks are supposed to be accessible to the public and not slowly turn into pay-to-use amenities. What concerns me even more is the broader message this is sending. Residents should not be treated as revenue streams to cover financial shortfalls created by decision-making by the current administration. The answer to budget challenges cannot always be to reach deeper into the pockets of taxpayers who have already carried enough burden. The people of Schenectady already pay taxes. We already contribute to the city, and in return, we should be able to enjoy our public space without being nickeled and dimed every step of the way. If we continue down this road, where does it stop? Today is tennis courts, tomorrow is the basketball courts, park fields, walking trails. Community spaces should remain community spaces. We should be invested in opportunities that improve quality of life, encourage health, wellness, and recreation, especially for young people and seniors like ourselves. Not created more barriers access. I urge the city to reconsider this proposal and prioritize the needs of residents over generating new fees. Thank you.
Jonathan Sims.
I mentioned on
excuse me.
5/11/26.
Mr. Nutsky, it was Mr. Sims. Sims.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Good evening, Council. John, thanks for leaving the microphone. So I do appreciate that. I just want to thank you all for everything that you did to bring the beautiful courts to Schenectady. They look fabulous. I'm very excited to get out there and play again on those courts. So thank you for that. I am a 30-year resident of the city. I live within walking distance of the tennis courts, right by Central Park. One of the things that I love about living right there is the convenience of all the activities that we can do, take part in our beautiful park, right? We can all think of many things, including Music Haven, the new pool, etc. I've been very much looking forward myself to getting out early, practicing my serve, getting together with a friend, whatever it may be, just walking over to the new pool, doing laps, and then walking back home. So it's concerning to me to think of, first of all, just as a grandparent, anytime I want to get out and just hit the ball with one of my granddaughters or whatever it may be, that I need to go through this process to pay a fee to make the reservation. I know it's challenging for you to think exactly how this will work optimally. I'm personally not averse to folks from outside of Schenectady paying a modest fee. The membership cards that we used to have, that system seemed to work well, so you have some accountability there. At the same time, I believe that it's very important for Schenectady city residents to not have to pay these fees, or certainly to have a lesser fee in whatever the scenario is. I'm reminded every time I drive past Schenectady High School of the beautiful new tennis courts that I voted for with the capital improvement bond that was initiated there. They go largely unused. And to think of having to, and I pay for those, I can't use those, and to be in a similar situation at Central Park is concerning. I just want to emphasize along the lines of what Heather shared. I think it makes the most sense, first and foremost, from the earliest hours till 5 p.m. to have there be no fee for playing. They're largely unused during that time frame, so it would be of little consequence. The reservation part of it, mixed feelings about that. It's not the end of the world, but I believe there shouldn't be a fee during those times, and I want to make sure that it's heard that whatever the locking system is, that's not cast in stone and it's just opened or available at 9 a.m. or whatever the case may be. We went through a period of that where you couldn't get in early. So, when the sun comes up, some folks like to play. As far as STA is concerned, I'd really like for you to consider an option, whatever it may look like, perhaps setting aside one pod for the group. In the evenings, we tend to use 3 courts typically. That could work, and we could have a designated area. Seems very doable for a modest fee. I'm sure the organization can pick up some of it. We do have modest member dues, but to recognize that an ongoing $15 per hour paradigm would be very challenging for the group in the long term.
Excuse me, I'll need you to summarize.
Okay. And then I want to just finish up by saying, just a reminder to make sure that we get grass. I know I said this last time, but we have a tendency in the city of having the hydro seed put down, and then the dry weather comes in, and all we get are weeds. All you have to do is look at the lawn around the pool area, and it's largely weeds. So if the contractor has to put down seed again, I would think that'd be very worthwhile. And don't let USTA run all over the city and dominate and control our park. I know they contributed, but they don't own it. We as city residents do. And I'm a USTA member and player. So thank you.
Bill Buell.
Good evening, council members. I am Bill Buell. Maybe I should mention I'm the Schenectady County historian, a longtime reporter for the Gazette, once great newspaper. It's still pretty good. I want to second everything that everybody else said so far tonight. I can't help but have this sense that we're creating a for-profit entity in a public park, and that just doesn't sit well with me. It's a public park that was created more than 100 years ago by George Lund and Charles Steinmetz. It was so the lower class workers at General Electric and the American Locomotive Company could have an oasis inside the city limits. So to have this, what I would call an excessive fee, it just doesn't sit well with me. Central Park is a wonderful place. I've been playing there since 1972, somewhere around there. I don't play as much as I used to because I'm old and falling apart. But it is a wonderful place. I've met so many lifelong friends there. I remember back in the early 80s, I was playing with a group of friends. We would play during the day. And there was this young man who showed up 2 or 3 times, a black man around 19, and he would just stand about 40 feet away and watch us. So after about 3 or 4 days of this, I walked over and I said, "Hey, do you play?" And he goes, "Well, I'd like to." And I said, "Well, I'll hit you with you for a few minutes." And that individual became a very good friend of mine. And after getting beat up by me and my friends for about 2 or 3 years, he suddenly started beating us up on a continual basis. That's how good he became. And that's one of the wonderful things about Central Park. It's so welcoming. You can make friends, have hitting partners, and with this lock system, that certainly wasn't going to happen. Vince Van Patten, the actor tennis player, was here, I want to say 89 or 90, for the OTB Open. He played his first round match and won, and then he started walking through the trees over to Iroquois Lake. And I kind of chased him, because I was a sports writer then. I said, "Vince, where are you going? I got to grab you." He goes, "Bill, this place is really special," is how he put it. He goes, "I can play a world-class tennis match, grab my swim trunks, and walk about 50 yards and go swimming, and it doesn't cost me a thing." So he was just really happy about being in Schenectady. And I think that's all I want to say. I know I'm forgetting something, but thank you so much for listening. I appreciate having the opportunity to talk. Thank you.
John Knutson.
It's always a pleasure to bring a little bit of humor to any meeting. I mentioned on May 11th, the last time we were talking about tennis courts, was the tennis courts needed a Wi-Fi camera or other means of keeping track of the courts after hours. Recently, after the courts were painted and nets were put up, a skateboarder climbed the fence, let his buddies in, and they destroyed the painting on 3 courts. So that just happened in the last week. I've been told that City Council can't do anything. It's up to the mayor to do something. Let me assure you, the mayor doesn't want to do anything because it just reinforces his need for $15 an hour. So you guys are talented enough and smart enough that if you want to, you can come up with something so that we start looking at those courts now, because those courts are going to be repainted soon. And if we don't do anything, skateboarders are going to come in again, climb the fence, and destroy it. It's human nature to some extent, or skateboarders. The mayor would like to make a profit from use of the tennis courts. I'm curious. Does Schenectady make a profit from their golf course, baseball diamonds, soccer fields, basketball courts, or swimming pool? If you're making profits from all those places, I can't argue with your not using the tennis courts to make money. But it's my understanding that most of them, even the golf course where they raise the fees a lot, none of them are making money. but the tennis courts are supposed to make money. U.S. 2A tournaments bring in large populations of people from suburban New York City and New Jersey. These populations are overwhelmingly wealthier than our Schenectady populations. These tennis players and their families spend most generously on Schenectady hotels, the casino, and restaurants. What else does Schenectady sponsor that brings in a similar return to the city business community? Thank you.
Carter Griffin.
It's so nice to be here. Thank you to the council. I'm a recent immigrant to upstate New York. I do not live in Schenectady. I'm sorry. I live in Green Island. But I'm a member of the STA, and that was one of the nice things when I moved here because I'm an old tennis player. And so I joined STA. And lately we've been playing over at the courts on Michigan Avenue, which really are nice, you know, a nice substitute. And last year, my first year here, we played at Central Park. So what I've noticed is that there's a group, and I believe it's called, let's see, Love 15. And it's a wonderful program that you see on the weekend over at Michigan Avenue. And it's an opportunity to invest in lower income children or individuals, family or whatever, and they need to come to Central Park as well. Because these kids, some of them, whatever, they have images of tennis players that they see, whether it's the Williams sisters or years ago, Arthur Ashe or Billie Jean King or whatever. That these kids, it's healthy for kids to play tennis, and it's healthy for older people to play tennis too. So I'm thinking of that. The one other thing I want to mention is I played in USTA competitive tennis 50 years ago, up to 35 years ago. And I played out of state. I was in New Mexico and Arizona, so I would play USTA. So I have never played in such a large complex as you now have. It's a beautiful complex of 18 courts. And sometimes the people would have to go play in another court or whatever. But you could have, and I don't mean to take it away, but a few tournaments, and maybe get some real income out of that. So I just wanted to say thank you, and I'm glad to be here, and I'm going to be driving back tonight to Green Island. Thank you very much.
Marion Porterfield.
Good evening, Council President, Council members, Mayor Pro Tem. So you've heard a lot about tennis, so I don't have to repeat a lot of what was said. So I just want to talk, first of all, I've been to visit the tennis courts, and thank you, Mr. Wallen. It's absolutely beautiful. It's gorgeous. Can't wait to play there. Just hope I don't have to pay. So just want to state some facts. This was over $3 million investment into those tennis courts. $2 million of that was capital funds, which means that the money was borrowed, the taxpayers have to pay it back. And the other another $500,000 was ARPA funds, money that went to many cities because of COVID, and then the balance was paid by USTA. USTA with having given that amount of money, has an agreement that they get to use those courts for 20 years with no additional fees. So if taxpayers are paying back this $2 million loan, then why are taxpayers being asked to pay on top of that? I understand the gate system because that's a major investment, and so you want to keep it nice and not people just, rollerblading, walking dogs, and doing all of that. So there was a fence before that, so I understand that. It should have a fence. It needs to be fenced in, otherwise we'll be chasing balls all the time. However, but having taxpayers who live in the city of Schenectady pay, I think is really asking us to pay on top of what we've already paid. It was stated before that there's other courts that people don't have to go to and pay, but that's relegating people to the older courts, which clearly are not as nice as the courts that are in Central Park. Even once they're updated, because I understand there's going to be some repairs made, it's not going to be the same. So I know there's a cost for pavilions and that thing in the park. So there are some costs for some things. So I understand that. However, I don't think that city residents should have to pay any of those costs. I would support people who live outside the city of Schenectady paying. You go almost any other community, and if you're not a resident, you have to pay to use their facility. So that I'm not opposed to, but not city residents. It was mentioned about a tournament and a marketing plan. I see that part of the fee structure is a tournament, our tournaments, and an organized use. So part of what would need to happen is there be a marketing plan for tournaments to help bring people in, because people are going to definitely want to do that, but we're going to have to market that. I want to talk about a couple of people that everyone knows who learned to play tennis in Compton, California. Venus and Serena learned to play in Compton, California, starting at the age 4. They practiced for 6 hours a day on a public court and later benefited from elite training. Their father taught them. He had no skills in tennis. He downloaded something and taught them how to play tennis. If Venus and Serena lived in the city of Schenectady and wanted to play on these now public courts, I don't think they would have the opportunity to do that because of the costs that would be involved. So we have to look at people who cannot pay to play tennis. It's different than golf. It's been compared to golf. It is not the same as golf. You can pick up a tennis ball almost anywhere, and a racket, for that matter, and just get on courts and play tennis. Golf is not the same. So, again, I just want to end by saying it's an outstanding court. Can't wait to play there. However, really would like you to reconsider charging residents to play on courts that are already being paid for by taxpayer dollars. Thank you for your time.
I have no one else signed up for public hearing number 2. We will now move on to public hearing number 3 regarding amending Chapter 161 of the Schenectady City Code, garbage, rubbish, and refuse, regarding the requirements and standards for the collection of solid waste and recyclables and the setting of rates and penalties. I have 3 individuals signed up to speak, first of which is Helen Saunders.
Thank you, Mr. President. Oops, here. Thank you, Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the council. Early on a lovely spring morning in late April, a kindly workman put his client's garbage cans to the curb before departing for his own far distant dwelling. Imagine the shock of the elderly resident owner of this well and carefully maintained Schenectady home upon receiving 3 days later a letter levying a $50 fine and ultimately threatening a lien on the property for the egregious violation of having cans at curb before 2 p.m. the day before scheduled pickup. The window of time for setting out trash is very narrow then. After 2 p.m. the day before and before 6:15 a.m. the next morning. In some seasons, that's a mere 3-hour window with darkness setting in about 4:45 p.m. For the elderly, the disabled, senior citizens with mobility problems requiring a cane or walker, anyone with certain recent surgeries, frail people, perhaps pregnant moms, dragging sometimes heavy cans to the street themselves, observing these time frames can be very difficult and even dangerous. Think actual or forecasted forecasted. Snow, sleet, freezing rain, leftover ice, rainstorms, high winds, the fear of falling, and even the possibility of encountering menacing persons on the street under cover of darkness. Is it not, safer and better for a certain segment of our population to avail themselves of the services or kindnesses available to them? The neighbor who volunteers early assistance but will be at work until very late at night and can't help then. The one who takes an early morning stroll and is always anxious to help as she passes. The home health aide or cleaning lady who finishes her shift at 9 or 10 a.m. and can easily fling the cans to curb upon leaving. Is she supposed to return at 2 p.m.? Would she have room in her schedule for that? Who will pay for her additional time, gas, etc.? Does that sound ridiculous? And for the lucky few who can afford exotic vacations or time at the gaming table, a $50 fine may be chump change. But for those on low or fixed incomes, it can be quite a burden. $50 can buy 10 lunches at one senior meal site, 25 lunches at another, a month's worth of weekday meals, or can even fund an extra hour or two with the aide or cleaning lady to complete a project long needing attention, enabling the client to remain in his or her own home. And isn't this something we always encourage? Citizens can still and often be encouraged to observe a 2 p.m. start time, but not punished with a fine and threat when and where they are not able to do so. Some may be departing for a family visit or even be confused about the date changes surrounding holidays. These are not over-dramatizations. These are realities of life for many, a decision, a hurdle that must be dealt with 50 times a year. 50 times a year. We are enjoined to remember and aid those around us. In their time, especially in their time in situations of need. If I may suggest, perhaps at night as you lay on your weary head upon your pillow and review your day with all its ups and downs, trials and tribulations and challenges, you could try to imagine various scenarios of people of goodwill struggling to observe this poorly thought out, burdensome, and capricious regulation and see that it is trashed. Thank you.
Deborah Balms.
Hi, thank you for giving us, me the opportunity to speak. I've been a city resident all my life, and I'm here tonight because I'm concerned about the new garbage proposal, which, from my understanding, allows for one 65-gallon or 45-gallon trash can and one for recycles. And that's a big concern. I've been a landlord for 45 years. I work in a daycare right now that has small children, and my daughter has a home with a two-story flat, and she rented it to a family of 6 downstairs, and then they had another baby, so that's 7, and there were my daughter with 2 children upstairs, so that's a family, 10 people in a 2-story household. It's 3 bedrooms, big flats, okay? But they had 8 garbage cans and 1 recycle bin, and sometimes the garbage still didn't get taken out. So one 45-gallon pan is okay for me. It's okay for a husband and wife. It may be okay for a family of 3 with a dog or a cat, but it's not all right for a large family or large families. Even with recycles, this family downstairs never recycled before. They didn't know how to recycle. They had to be taught how to recycle. But even though we're depending on the extra can for recycles, there's still pizza boxes that can't go and recycle. There's bulk cardboard. There's all kinds of stuff that it's not going to fit in 2 cans. I also checked one of your competitors because I'm like, I wonder how much they're charging, and you probably have done due diligence. But a 65-gallon bin and a 65-gallon trash bin cost $348 a year. I'm being charged over $420 a year, and that would only be a 45-gallon container, not a 65-gallon container. They charge a little less than $400 a year for a 95-gallon container and a 95-gallon recycle bin. So this is a concern. Unless I'm misunderstanding what you've proposed, it's not right for families. I remember years ago, the council made a decision to not charge for water by the gallon because it would hurt large families. And I feel like this is what we're doing. In some streets in the inner city of Schenectady, we still are dealing with trash issues because trash is not getting in the bins. There's trash on the street. If you live in a clean neighborhood, you're blessed. The second issue I'm thinking of still has to do with this also, is as a landlord, many times when a tenant left, there would be wall-to-wall garbage in the front of my rental home. And I often thought, okay, if I have them put it on the side of the house, I have to bring it out on garbage day. If I have them leave it out in the front of the house, I'm gonna get a fine. So what do? I have to hire
I need you to
someone.
summarize.
Thank you. So we live in an age of computers. Why can't we have an option to call City Hall and say, I'd like a special pickup, I'll pay $100 for it, or $75 to clean out my trash in the basement, to clean out my attic, to take care of a problem with a tenant. There's no reason why a schedule can't be printed out with a special request for a ton of trash. Many of us don't have pickup trucks that we can just load up and bring to the recycle bin. So I hope you consider this, and thank you for eliminating the sticker program. Thank you.
I have no one else signed up to speak for any of the public hearings, so I'll declare public hearing closed. Oh, apologies, Mayor Porterfield.
Thank you again, Council President, Council members, Mayor Pro Tem. Do want to speak to this issue regarding the garbage collection. I would urge the council to revisit the plan as it's currently laid out. And also, I just want to say, this really is an administrative responsibility. When the tennis court was being planned, it was the administration, the person in charge of it, who planned it out, came to the council and asked for a vote. When the parks are being done, there's a plan that's presented to the council, and then the council votes it forward. When the golf course, there's a plan that's presented to the council, and the council votes on the plan. The council does not create the plan. This is definitely administrative, and that's where it should be. People who have boots on the ground, who are there every single day, who know what it's like to pick up garbage, or what it looks like, all of those things. So I urge the administration to take a look at this plan, because part-time legislators, can't really be expected to come up with a plan when they're not on the ground every day, and they also don't have the ability to tell the people who are on the ground how to do what needs to be done. So I think it needs to be revisited from an administrative level. I'd like to share with you a memo from August 5, 2022. Went to the mayor, the then director of operations, Paul LaFond, Floyd Slater, Anthony Ferrari, and also Derek Lukamuk. And the person who wrote it was then an assistant corporation counsel for the city, now still works for the city, but in a different capacity. And the memo is proposed change to the Schenectady City Code to effectuate fairness and equity in trash collection. This is how it reads. After further discussions with Paul LaFond, the following changes to the city code regarding solid waste are recommended. The amount of trash to be collected by the city will be limited to 2 cubic yards, the equivalent of 2 washing machines. All trash must be either bagged and securely tied at the top of the bag or canned with a secure lid. If additional trash is placed at the curb, there will be a charge of $2.50 for each additional bag or can. A green fluorescent sticker purchased from the city with the name and address of the resident must be affixed to each additional bag or can for collection to occur. Bulk items such as stove, refrigerators, etc., will be collected if an orange fluorescent sticker from the city with the name and address of the resident is attached to the bulk, and these stickers will cost $10. Television sets will also cost $10 with an orange sticker. And then bulk items and televisions will only be collected on the last collection day of the month. The reason I share this with you is two. First of all, this is not a new problem. Since 2022, this has been discussed. So the fact that you're not able to solve it in a very few short weeks or months shouldn't be a surprise. It's an overwhelming problem. We had Carl Olson here who knew garbage in and out and presented various things to the council. It's not something that can be solved quickly. So this is not any indictment on the council. It's understood. It's a challenging problem. Also, the point I want to make by reading this memo is that the sticker program, the bulk item program, was not my brainchild, as some people have tried to say. This happened in 2022. Clearly, it was started at the administration. The memo was to the administration from a member of the administration. That's really where this belongs. And the council then supporting whatever's put forward or making suggested changes. But it needs people who are here every single day doing the work to really have a lot of input on this. And Ms. Balmas talked about people cleaning out the house. I suggest a dumpster. If you're doing a clean out, then you are required to get a dumpster and not have the mounds of trash that people put out, which is currently called a jackpot, which again originated back in 2022 and was named such by the person who wrote this memo. So ask you to revisit it. I did buy one of those 45-gallon cans. And it's not light, empty. So I can't even imagine what it's going to be like when I put garbage in it and have to wheel it out. And I'm able-bodied. So what about the people who are disabled, older, or just, can't do that kind of thing with a 45-gallon can? So just ask you to revisit it and consider the residents and what people are able to do. And, we definitely want our city to be clean. I think that we just need to revisit it and maybe come up with a program that works for everyone. Thank you again for your time.
At this time, I have no one else signed up for the public hearing, so I'll declare public comment for a public hearing closed. I will now entertain the ceremonial resolution by Ms. Councilwoman Wiggins.
Mr. President, may I have the floor?
You may.
A resolution commending AFSC Me Local 1037 for its Earth Day tree donation to the city of Schenectady. Whereas Earth Day is a holiday held every April 22nd that highlights environmental issues and sustainable through education. Since the first Earth Day in 1970, its observation has grown from rallies and lectures across the United States into a global celebration that is sometimes extended into Earth Week. A full 7 days of events focus on green living and confronting the climate crisis And whereas Earth Day was the brainchild of the late U.S. Senator Gaylord Nelson and inspired by the protests of the 1960s. Earth Day began as a national teach-in on the environment by raising public awareness of pollution. Nelson hoped to bring environmental causes into the national spotlight. According to Nelson, he envisioned a large-scale grassroots environmental demonstration to shake up the political establishment and force the issues into the national agenda. And whereas approximately 20 million people, or about 1 in 10 Americans at a time, attended in the inaugural Earth Day events in the 1970s, these initial celebrations took place across the United States and various schools, universities, and public areas. And whereas in 2026, the celebration highlights the escalating challenges of climate change, noting that extreme weather events now cost the global economy an average of $143 billion annually. And whereas the members of AFSCME Local 1037, who represents the city's blue-collar workers, donated funds to purchase 3 trees for the Earth Day Festival in Central Park. The three trees purchased were a swamp white oak, a hedge maple, and a hophorn beam. This shows that the AFSCME Local 1037 recognizes the importance of Earth Day and their commitment to improving our environment in Central Park. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Schenectady City Council and Mayor Gary R. McCarthy do hereby pause in their deliberation to commend AFSCME Local 1037 on their Earth Day tree donation to the city of Schenectady. Would you like to say something?
Yes.
I would like to move this resolution, President.
Is there a second? Second by Councilman Chairs. All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you. Thank you. I'd just like to say thank you on behalf of the whole local. Also, you know, we as the local try our hardest to make sure that all the services are, you know, up to par, and I apologize if some aren't. But at the end of the day, we just try our hardest for what we do have. And this right here, as I told Ms. Wiggins, I'm just lost for words. I thank you very much, because donating back to the city is something that's important to me and to our local as well. So I thank you all very much for the resolution, and just thank you.
I'll ask for approval of the minutes for Monday, May 11th. Moved by Councilwoman Totoro, seconded by Councilman Mudavarian. All those in favor? Aye. I will now entertain privilege of the floor concerning matters of legislative agenda. We have no one signed up to speak, so I'll declare public comment for legislative agenda closed. Any communications or petitions?
Communications presented to the City Council for Tuesday, May 26, 2026. Under official, there were none. Under general, from Donna Dakota, an email expressing opposition to the proposed 60-unit apartment complex in the Stockade neighborhood, citing concerns about overdevelopment, infrastructure strain, increased transient housing, and a loss of neighborhood character. The resident also highlighted community beautification efforts and requested that the city and Metroplex support smaller-scale development and preservation of the neighborhood. From Judith Narayan Sugrim, an email submission of a complaint regarding delayed response times and lack of accessibility at the Schenectady Police Department following a hit-and-run accident on Brandywine Avenue. The resident stated that officers advise of a 1 to 2 hour response delay and that the police station lobby was unattended during the shift change, resulted in extended wait times for assistance. The correspondence requested a review of staffing, shift change procedures, and response prioritization to improve public safety services. From Naomi Agins, a letter regarding concerns about the garbage collection practices in the city, specifically the use of trash containers, citing it would be difficult for seniors or handicapped individuals to chase down lids on a windy day. However, the resident agrees with the cancellation of the bulk items sticker program. From Magali Reyes, a letter stating her opposition to the new garbage collection changes. Key concerns include the burden of purchasing disposal stickers at City Hall for those without transportation or on fixed incomes, risk of ticket theft, and items being dumped on neighbors' property. As a disabled person living alone, she also struggles to dispose of large items and finds the new classification rules unfair. She requests the city eliminate disposal fees, target only excessive dumpers, and return to the previous collection system. From Haley Vaccaro, Boulevard Appreciation Neighborhood Association, BANA, an online comment submittal regarding proposed changes to the city garbage collection. BANA expressed support for the proposal to replace the bulk item sticker fee program with a monthly curbside allowance of 1 to 2 items during White Goods Day. On regular collection, BANA urged the council to preserve resident choice between cans and curbside bags, citing cost burdens and crew efficiency concerns. BANA also requests that any approved changes be communicated to residents via emailing, city website, and social media, and offered to assist with neighborhood outreach. From attorney Carl Hassenbarth, an online submission regarding the release of his clients from a use agreement on 320 Germania Avenue. He argues that his client satisfied the 5-year occupancy requirement by residing at the property from February 2020 through the summer of 2025, notwithstanding her 2 other Schenectady addresses during that period. Council presented supporting evidence, including neighbor testimony, a utility bill, and a landlord registration statement, and noted that Ms. Prasad, his client, is willing to swear to the facts. Despite this, Corporation Counsel has indicated the city will not release her from the agreement unless she pays $29,000. An email from Lori Hoyt urging that the new Central Park tennis courts be free or heavily discounted for city residents and completely free for youth under 18, while non-resident pay a fee. She expressed broader frustration that the several recently built or renovated recreational facilities, including a baseball field, hockey rink, and park pavilion, appear to primarily benefit non-residents. She praised the new city pool as a model of a free, well-used resident amenity and suggests placing a donation QR code at the disc golf course entrance as a way to generate maintenance funds from the many non-resident users. And under petitions, there were none.
Thank you. I'd like to call on any council members for their committee reports. Councilwoman DeToro.
Thank you, President Williams. I'm the chairperson of the Public Service and Utilities Committee, and I just have an important thing that I'd like to share with the residents and the rest of the council. So under the new federal law for the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, they're requiring all water systems to identify the material of water service lines entering the building. I know quite a while ago, each resident should have received a little card that you could have filled out or called in or sent to the consulting firm of CHA. as to what type of pipes are coming into your properties. The city of Schenectady really needs our help in identifying these water services. Why does it matter? Pipes can be lead, steel, copper, or PVC. Identifying your pipe type helps to ensure safe drinking water and protects your family's health. The inspection is free, quick, and non-invasive. The city has a team of individuals they can send out. You can email Phyllis Garmond at schenectadyny.gov. Reach out to her office at 518-382-5023. And perhaps some of you have already received this on your doorknob. If you have, it's important that you fill it out so that we can comply with the EPA. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now ask for approval of the legislative consent agenda, moved by Councilman Mudavarian, seconded by Councilman Chairs. All those in favor? Aye. At this point, I will now entertain privilege of the floor concerning general city business. We have 6 individuals signed up to speak. I'd like to remind the public you have 3 minutes, the first of which will be Carl Hasselberg, Esquire.
Good evening, council members. My name is Attorney Carl Hasselbarth, and I'm here representing a City of Schenectady resident, Rameshwari Prasad, who owns property that she purchased from the city several years ago at 320 Germania Avenue. And as I submitted in my privilege of the floor form, she is looking to sell the property now, and I've been in discussions with your corporation counsel about being released from a use and occupancy agreement that requires her to occupy the subject property for 5 years. I submit that she has done that. It is not her only address. It's not her only address in Schenectady, but nowhere in the use agreement does it say this has to be her primary residence or her only residence, or that she's occupying the property every single night. She spends significant time there, but I'm just the attorney. I'd like to invite up your city resident, Rameshwari Prasad, and 2 other city residents that know her occupancy of this property well, so that you can hear this directly from them. Would you please come up? And this is Rameshwari Prasad. This is Sabita Roy. And your name again is? Sogan. Okay. Rameshwari, why don't you start and explain your use of 320 Germania Avenue since you bought it early 2020?
Yeah, I bought 320 Germania Avenue. My advice. Yeah, I own 3 property, 996 Eastern Avenue and 370 Newlet Street. And I get 320 Germania. I there back and forth in 320 Germania house. I live in there, go to work. I'm doing two job. When I come at 11, 12 o'clock in the night, I spend time there, sometime in both, all 3. My kids, them in 1. I most time spend in 320 Germania at the 2nd floor.
So you occupy one of the units?
Yes, yeah.
And the unit that you've occupied, have you ever rented that out?
No.
And you have 2 friends of yours here. So
Yeah.
would you please introduce yourself, explain how you're familiar with Ms. Prasad's occupancy of this property?
Good evening. I know her for over 15 years, from her mom to her when she was little. And I come visit her at 320, the way she lives there, on the 2nd floor in Germany. And since I come and visit her often, I relocated over 5 years ago, and she always lived 320 on the 2nd floor. So I know her from there. She have other houses, but I visit her there most of the time. Thank you.
Mahendra Subram, could you do the same, please?
Good afternoon. I know she like about 3 years. I live in Queens, but I moved up here like about 3 years in 1610 Van Franklin. But I know she every time I come up from New York, I visit she by 320 Germany by the 2nd floor.
Thank you, Mr. Subramanian. So I've explained to your corporation counsel that I can get a sworn affidavit from yet a 3rd City of Schenectady resident. That one lives actually next door to my client, and she seems to have no interest in that evidence. She is only looking at a voter registration statement. She's looking at a driver's license that admittedly have a different address. But that doesn't prove anything. The evidence that she's seeing in her records are not inconsistent with the narrative that my client has submitted, and these very honest City of Schenectady residents are corroborating her testimony. And like I said, I believe I'll be able to get a third and a sworn affidavit. So I ask that you release her from this agreement immediately so that she does not have to pay $29,000 from the sales proceeds of her property that she has been waiting months to sell based on this issue. If you have any questions for my client or these other city residents, I think they'd be happy to answer them.
Yep, so I would recommend staying till after the conclusion of the council meeting. I imagine, including myself, would like to speak to you in further detail.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Anthony Carrata.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council, Mr. President. Before I get to speak on what I want to speak on tonight, I want to make something crystal clear. I do not have a problem with the LGBTQ plus community or whatever acronym they want to use. I have no problem with somebody's sexual orientation or how they present themselves. Now, it seems every June, for some reason, the government bodies like this want to deem the month of June Pride Month for the LGBTQ plus whatever acronym they want to use community. Now, when it was just 24 hours a week, no problem. Now it's the entire month. But here's the problem, okay? I and others have with the LGBTQ plus whatever acronym one on use is the T and on, the transgenders, okay? Here's the problem. The transgender community is the problem with the LGBT plus community. The gays or homeless, no problem with that. They get along with fine with everybody else. The lesbians, fine, everybody else. It's the transgenders. That's the problem. They're invading women's spaces, invading women's sports. Then the fact that they're saying there's a genocide of transgender people. Wrong, there is no genocide of transgender people. And they're saying they're being attacked. No, 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 they're not being attacked. It's the other way around. They're attacking people like me who could care less about who they are. And another thing, here's another suggestion. Okay, I said this last year. I'm surprised you guys didn't clue into it. When I made a suggestion that if you're gonna have families at these adult, highly sexualized adult festivities, have a certain hours a day, have organizations give or education material to parents. So that way parents can talk to the kids. Yes, parents, it should be the parents' job to talk to the children if they have problems, questions about friends in the community. Not this government body, not the government, not education, the parents' job. And if you want to have it, entertainment there, do it at night, age restricted, okay? That is what's going on here. And also the thing is, when with the LGBT community, there's also other serious issues going on there. A whole bunch of serious issues of serious mental health issues that need to be looked into so they can get that help. And also thoughts of suicide. That's what's also going on in that community too. Okay? That's what's going on with that community. Because the thing is involving children. Now, Mr. President, you've got some nice little girls. I've seen the video when you got sworn in as council member.
Excuse me, I'll need you to summarize.
Yeah, I know, I'll be wrapping up here. Hypothetical here. Would you want somebody in your when you drop your daughters off at the daycare, tell your daughters that they can't play with a toy car because that's for a boy? Would you?
Thank you. Crystal Doyne.
I'm glad to see the seat with Justin in his chair has been resolved. Quite honestly, it was despicable what happened. I'm glad to see there is some resolved in that respect. And thank you. And welcome to the newcomer. I'm sorry I didn't catch your name, so I'm not trying to be rude. But moving forward, as a pedestrian of the city and utilizing the CDTA as a primary source of transportation now, I would like to address the city portion of this. While CDTA is required to maintain the bus stops, there is commingling that coincides with the city of Schenectady. The streets are disgusting, filled with trash, debris, unsanitary, and just downright unhygienic. Our main bus stops, such as the Mobility Center, which is down the way across from SECC, and downtown train station is covered in bird feces, lack of sufficient lighting. It's uncomfortable atmosphere where the city needs to address not only the maintenance portion, but the contributing homeless that is taking portion of those areas. I'm asking this council to look to make this not only safer, but sanitary. Downtown station is unpleasant as you're afraid to even touch anything or sit. It gives a sense to our bus riders that we are less than in the community. I don't know about you, but I was excited today when I was able to take a bus ride from Schenectady all the way up to Saratoga, literally for 65 cents. That's just unbelievable. But when you get back down to the heart of our city and greeted with trash and debris, it's unsettling, it degrades our self-worth, and I think we can do better. I just don't agree. I will leave you with this. The choices we make today, we have to live with tomorrow. Thank you. And as far as the tennis court, I impose no opinion whatsoever. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Eric Johnson.
Good evening. I'm Eric Johnson, resident of the city of Schenectady, Mayor Pro Tem, esteemed staff, Council President Williams, Mr. Turo, Mr. Chairs, Ms. Wiggins, Mr. Moonvarian. I'd just like to say I miss Mr. Inger and I deeply miss Ms. Patrick here. I look forward to her returning to your team. You've exhibited great teamwork and I look forward to that continuing. I'm here on behalf of the Electric City Community Grocery Store to share some great news with you. We have, in 2019, there was a COVID virus. In 2021, there was a response by the federal government called ARPA. In 2021, also, there was a RFP released for submissions for the use of the $54+ million that the city was granted for ARPA funds. A few of our 347 members at the time of the Electric City Community Grocery wrote an application for that, and we were indeed awarded $1 million in December 22nd, 2022, sorry. We did get under contract a few years later. That took some time to secure our site and some other funding and prerequisite requirements. And I'm here to say that as of today, we've completed the expense of our $1 million award, and I'll be submitting that on Thursday to the planning department. I'd like to thank Ms. Carver, thank Mitch Grossman and Emily within the planning department for smooth operations. We were able to tie out our $1 million grant to within 3 cents, and I consider that to be a rounding error. That's a good closure for that project. So we look forward to closing that $1 million. Those funds went for things that were related to planning. Architecture fees, pre-ordering equipment. Just today, we put our deposit on our refrigeration system, which is $703,000 refrigeration system using state-of-the-art CO2 refrigeration for the grocery store that we're going to be starting to build in 2 weeks' time down at the Wedgeway building. So I really want to commend the team, this community effort. We're almost all volunteer other than a bookkeeper that we have and an accountant that we have. Paula Ransberry and Mary Shikatano working to make sure that our submissions were perfect, which they were. We never had an error in our submissions. And I would just say that if there are additional funds that are available, I wrote a letter to the City Council previously. There is additional demand for resources for this project. we're getting underway, but we could certainly use additional support. Obviously, a budget from 2021 is different from a budget from 2026. So look forward to having a conversation with that with you, and really just want to share with you and how exciting it is for us to be building a community grocery store in downtown Schenectady. It's been sorely needed for a long time. It was the trading port that closed in 2001, which was our last, right across from Doreen's place there. So it's been a while, and we deserve it. Like, we really do deserve it in the city. It's something that our city residents have had to compromise, and that's not something that I can stand for. Our group doesn't stand for that. We want to bring healthy food and affordable food to the people of Schenectady.
Excuse me, I'll need you to summarize.
On another note, there is going to be a cleanup in Vale Park on Sunday. This is not the co-op, but it's part of One Schenectady movement. We're having 2 shifts for cleanup in the park in Vale Cemetery. The first shift being from 9 to noon, and the second shift being from 1 to 4. I hope you guys, anybody out there, could come and join us. We're going to have a lunch in the middle. And as you know, these cleanups are fun. So thank you so much for your time. I do appreciate it.
Thank you. Sarah Rogerson. Sean.
Hey, I'm Sean Radigan. Good evening. I'm going to talk a bit about budget and transparency. So last time I spoke, I had submitted a FOIL request, and I had stated I'd like a copy of the 2026 adopted city budget in an Excel or other spreadsheet format. The PDF copy posted to the website for the public hinders analysis efforts. The city denied my FOIL request, stating no records exist, which responds to your request. The city does not maintain record as requested. This is absurd. The PDF produced clearly leveraged a spreadsheet format to produce the document. I will be appealing this response, but I'm deeply disappointed in this result. We residents of the city deserve the transparency in our government. Instead of cooperation, my government gaslights me when I'm trying to better understand our financial situation. This refusal to make information public in a functional form comes as the mayor points the finger at the city council for a budget overrun of several $1 million. The budget relies on police enforcing parking fines and installing speed cameras in school zones. Let the record reflect that I don't think that our budget should rely on police activity to keep our city solvent. That said, it is the mayor's executive function to ensure those speed cameras are installed on time, which is currently behind schedule. The mayor stated that the city council receives monthly financial updates on the city, and I think all of us, all residents, should have access to these reports. With regards to the Quake proposal, this past week, the city council and mayor heard a presentation from the fire department on an augmented reality headset for firefighter response. The proposal was that Angelo Santa Barbara would find the funding for this, but that won't cover the $78,000 in software maintenance fees due every year. Additionally, it's stated that information will not be shared with third parties, but it's also stated that the information will be shared with other participating fire departments, which is conflicting information since other fire departments are third parties. The Quake proposal came from the mayor's office. We need to get back to basics. We need to pay for extra staff in the finance department so we can fulfill getting the budgets public. We need to hire an additional city engineer so we can focus on infrastructure solutions. Instead, we have a fifth of the city budget going to the police department to make sure that we got enough parking tickets issued. Please, just release the financial data for the public so we can be informed. After I have the numbers, I would love to bring forward infrastructure solutions to reduce speeding or parking burden. Please stop making it so hard for us to help. Thanks.
Thank you. Marion Porterfield.
Thank you again, Council President, Council members, Mayor Pro Tem. I want to speak about the budget. I noticed that, there was an article in the newspaper regarding the budget and major budget deficit that there was going to be. One of the things that I neglected to talk about when I was talking about the trash is that the funds collected for trash should be a separate budget item. The code clearly states, God bless you, that fees assessed for solid waste collection provided by the city shall not exceed the full cost of providing said service. Any surplus fees in any year shall be carried over the following year and shall be used solely to fund solid waste collection services provided by the city. That's from the City Code 1621-24. So in order to be able to do that, it needs to be a separate line, a separate, just like sewer and water, it needs to be separate so that you can see how much comes in and how much goes out. And when it's part of the general fund, you cannot make that determination easily. Additionally, part of the way that the city creates revenue, a major part of the way, is by tax collection. Also, within that, there are pilots, payments in lieu of taxes, which are what a lot of developers get. So I know that we need development, it makes sense. However, at these crucial times, we need to look at those pilots and see what we are allowing developers to get in terms how much in lieu of taxes they're actually paying. And since there was a time when we really needed to do that, but now Schenectady is a place, it is a destination. It's where people want to come. We're attracting people. So it should not be that we need to give away so many pilots in order to attract development here. Additionally, as we do the pilots, we should, first of all, the length of time on the pilot should be limited. And generally, in most municipalities, they are. In addition to that, the increased amount that people are paying for the pilots should go up so that the taxpayers are not burdened with this. Pilots are a major, major tax burden on the residents of Schenectady. So looking at our budget deficits as outlined in there, we should take a look at pilots or ways that we can increase revenue that are not burdened onto the taxpayers. Also with pilots, some people who actually buy the properties that have a pilot on them end up acquiring the pilot that goes with it, which that translates into them paying a much lower tax rate than those of us who don't live in developments that have pilots attached. So I think we need to look at all of those things and really look at the pilots to make sure that we can try to balance this budget and get other revenue into the city so that taxpayers are not heavily burdened with all the taxes that are being assessed. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you. I have no one else signed up to speak, so I'll declare public comment on general city business closed. At this point, I will entertain any miscellaneous business of the council. Councilman Chairs.
Thank you, Council President Williams. Just wanted to go over a couple things. First, I wanted to say thank you to everyone who came out this evening and spoke on a litany of public hearings that we had on general business and stepped to the legislative business to voice their opinions. Your voice matters here, and I want to make sure that our residents know that I take it very seriously when you come to the rail, and I know my council colleagues do as well when we make our decisions. So thank you for taking the time this evening to come out. I also want to take a moment to congratulate Cocoa House on their 30 years of excellence in the city of Schenectady. They've done an amazing job with our youth and our community as a whole out in Hamilton Hill and all across the city of Schenectady. So I just want to make sure that we give them the proper acknowledgement. Second annual Schenectady Trash Parade was absolutely wonderful this past week. And for those of you that were able to attend downtown right outside City Hall here, we had a bunch of youth members that took recycling, made different art from things of butterfly wings to different posters that they would normally not be able to use, spend time with adults that cared and learned a little bit about taking care of our environment, which I think goes very well with Ms. Wiggins' resolution on our local taking care of our city parks and bringing in new trees to make sure that we are taking care of our earth and investing inside of our youth as well. I want to congratulate all of our SUNY Schenectady graduates that graduated this past Thursday at M&T Bank at the new facility, and County Legislator Haileb Samuel that was able to deliver some amazing words to inspire those young people as they go forward on their journey. I also want to touch on two other items, and I want to make sure that I'm very intentional with this, as there was an article in the paper as well that came out about the new hire panel, and I want to make sure that there is no mislanguage. Myself and Chief, as well with Mr. William Rivas and Council President Carl Williams, were able to have amazing conversations and dialogue. Myself and the Chief also sent over to the Daily Gazette a joint statement. I seen it got a rerun on Sunday, but I did not see the joint statement included, so I'll read it here. The statement reads as follows: "We are proud to be working together on finding solid solution to address any and all concerns to protect and preserve the honor and integrity of the Police New Hire Panel Advisory Board founded by Mr. William Rivas. We both recognize this board as a positive and important community initiative that strengthens trust, accountability, transparency, and collaboration between law enforcement and the community itself. We remain committed to ensure the advisory process continues to reflect the voices and values of the people it was created to serve. Our ability to address concerns together while working towards solutions that honor the panel's work and ensure its continued success is a testament to the leadership, cooperation, and positive impact we both hope to continue to bring to the entire community. We deeply value the foundation built by Mr. Rivas, along with the dedication of every panel member, past and present, who has contributed to this initiative. By working together with mutual respect and a shared purpose, we can continue building stronger relationships in a safer, more connected Schenectady for everyone. We're excited for the possibilities that are ahead of us in the working together." Chief Brian Whipple, Councilman Justin Chairs. That was sent over to the Daily Gazette by Chief Whipple as a collaborative statement. Lastly, of my two other items I wanted to bring up is mental health awareness. This is Mental Health Awareness Month. I want to thank the NAACP for putting on the youth resource call that they had the other week. I was able to send those resources out to several families who had asked for it. As you've heard, this month has been difficult for the city of Schenectady. We know that a lot of our youth members suffer from different afflictions, different issues, and quietly. So for anyone that is looking for that information, please feel free to reach out to our local Schenectady NAACP or myself included. As I have the information, I'll be glad to email you over that entire presentation. I thought it was a wonderful way to be able to engage our youth and make sure that we're taking care and checking in on everybody, especially now with summer coming up. We want to make sure that our youth members in this city know that we care about them. And lastly, I want to say thank you to everyone who took part in the Memorial Day event services all throughout the weekend. I want to thank all the veterans who hosted it, who did an amazing job in doing the presentation, delivering a historical context behind everything, and making sure that we showed our youth members that were there inside of that Veterans Park and at Vail Memorial that this day was about honoring and remembering the soldiers who lost their lives. You know, I say often when I used to teach that Happy Memorial Day was never proper, and I'm glad that we are now making sure that people understand that we are recognizing and giving the proper love and respect for the soldiers that laid their lives on the line for us. So I want to thank everyone again for bringing honor to those days, to the weekend itself. Even though it was rainy and cold outside for that little time frame we had, it showed out in mass. So thank you to the fellow servicemen and all those that came out and supported our veterans and those that lost their lives this weekend.
Councilwoman DeToro.
Thank you. I'd like to touch on the veterans again. I think as we paused yesterday to honor our brave men and women who gave their lives to serve our nation, the two services that I happened to attend with my colleagues, President Williams and Councilman Chairs, George Scala at Vail Cemetery did an amazing job. And this year he had with him the Sons of the Revolution, and it was an extremely enlightening talk. And then, of course, our county colleagues in Monument Park also had a beautiful service. Thank you all. I'd like to just read something I was asked to read tonight during the public hearing section for the annual action plan from Jackie Clute, who's the executive director at the Luke and Daily Bread food pantry operated at St. Luke's. Food insecurity is a term used frequently today, but it's important to understand what it means. The U.S. Department of Agriculture defines food insecurity as a lack of consistent access to enough food for an active, healthy life. According to Feeding America, Schenectady County has a food insecurity rate of 10.3%. The One Big Beautiful Bill Act, signed into law on July 4, 2025, includes what has been described as the largest reduction in federal food assistance ever in U.S. history. Over the next decade, the legislation is projected to reduce SNAP benefits by $186 billion. These changes are expected to affect 22.3 million families nationwide who may lose some or all of their SNAP benefits. In New York, more than 300,000 households are projected to lose some of their annual benefits. Who is subject to ABAWD, able-bodied adults without dependents? Anyone between the ages of 18 and 64. You do not have to have a child under 14 living with you. You are not disabled. You are not pregnant. You are homeless. You are a veteran of any military branch. You are a former foster youth between 18 and 24 who aged out of foster care. With price increases in food, especially proteins, dairy, and fresh produce, and the cuts to USDA and SNAP, our food insecurity county residents are facing the daunting task of feeding their families with less than we have since 1940. Today alone at the Lucan Daily Bread, we served over 50 families, over 50. Can you imagine how awful it must feel for a parent to feel they will not be able to feed their children dinner this evening, or a senior that worked hard all their lives and is now hungry more often than not? The food providers see it daily. We hear and see it in the faces of our guests every time we open our doors. They tell us they are having trouble getting food that is nutritious and affordable. Food insecurity is not just about hunger. It's also about families not experience what used to be the way of life. Families come together around a dinner table, sharing their day with each other. I am sure we can all remember that special holiday when the family was all together, talking and eating and just being joyous. For the people that are never sure, and there's people that are never sure if they'll eat tomorrow, that family connection gets broken by the worry and heartbreak of a family that throughout their lives would be better than this. This is where the food providers come in. We range from soup kitchens, small mom and pop pantries, churches, groups of people who get together to help their neighbors, in large pantries and special programs. Lucan Daily Bread Food Pantry includes 3 programs: Daily Bread Food Pantry at St. Luke's, Daily Bread Food Pantry of Mount Pleasant at Holy Name of Jesus Church, and Schenectady Shares. The food pantry served over 35,000 residents last year, which is over 350,000 meals last year. Schenectady Shares provides about 26,000 pounds of food and over $27,000 that was distributed to Schenectady food providers. With the need so great in our city and county, it is necessary for us all to work together to support the residents of Schenectady. We at Daily Bread use a model program called People's Choice. Personally, I call individuals, and it's wonderful to talk to them and give them the food that they choose, not the food that I want to put in a bag for them to eat. We ask our guests to call and leave a message with their name, phone number, and date of birth. The director listens to the messages and puts them into the computer system and prints out each one to give to the callers. The callers are people on their list and tell them what we have, and they choose what they want to eat. Even our packers pack each order individually for each family. We believe that our guests deserve respect, and we think that each person should have a choice. We thank you for your time and hope that you will support the efforts of our over 70 volunteers and the thousands that donate to our food providers here in our city. I talked about that. Next, I'd like to just, I'm sorry that a lot of my tennis friends left here in the room. because I do want to say that the discussion surrounding the new Central Park tennis courts in the city of Schenectady deserves a balanced and honest conversation. These courts are a major investment in our community with millions in city funding, including over $500,000 in ARPA funds, which are also taxpayer dollars, along with an additional $1 million contribution from the United States Tennis Association. All should be absolutely proud of the facility that is built. However, it is important to remember the city adopted a fee structure for the use of Central Park tennis courts back on April 13, 2022, before the USTA had even proposed or discussed current court upgrades. The fee structure was not created because of the new $4 million project. It already existed prior to the renovations being planned. Now that the courts will be gated and professionally managed, many people are objecting to the fees that were already approved years ago. One recent comment made at the council meeting on May 11th stated, "I don't think it's fair that taxpayers in the city of Schenectady, residents, should have to pay those fees." While I understand the concerns being expressed, it is also important to note that the individual who made the comment voted in favor of the 2022 fee structure. I also think we need to apply the same logic consistently across the city to all the recreational facilities. The municipal golf course received significant ARPA funding improvements, yet residents still pay green fees to use that facility. Public investment does not automatically mean unlimited access. The city pool, which is very dear to my heart, is somewhat different. It serves children, families, and provides swim lessons and functions as a broader public health and recreation resource. Personally, I believe there is room for compromise. Rather than making the courts entirely free or entirely inaccessible, the city should reserve certain hours. And I got that when that young gentleman, John, in the back spoke at the May 11th meeting. He said that most of the day the courts go unused. So I think we could certainly work with reserving certain hours specifically for Schenectady residents and STA members, perhaps mornings and late afternoons, while still maintaining a reasonable fee structure in the future, discussing it. Ultimately, the question seems to be, are residents asking for the courts to be free for everyone or free only for city residents? That distinction matters. If taxpayers are expected to subsidize facilities, then giving residents preferred access or discounted rates may not be reasonable. However, the STA is in its 66 years and a vital part of the tennis community here in our city. This should not be a divisive issue. The goal should be to ensure that the new courts remain accessible, well-maintained, financially sustainable, and fair to all Schenectady taxpayers and tennis players. And my last thing on the list is, I had it up on my phone. Before our next city council meeting, there's a few things I'd like to, upcoming events. Jazz on J starts June 4th, 12 to 3, right here on J Street. St. Anthony's Festa is at St. Anthony's Church on Sword Place, June 5th, 6th, and 7th. The Kids Art Fest is on J Street, June 6th, 12 to 4. And Schenectady Pride is June 6th, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. at Gateway Plaza, 12 State Street. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Council President. I've been asked to provide an update on the city's paving program for a brief moment. First off, just to let you know, the list will be published to the City of Schenectady's website under the Department of Engineering. This year's program will be doing a little over 3 miles of streets in the City of Schenectady under the main program, which is called the CHIPS Paving Program. The focus of this year is on Mount Pleasant, specifically the Crane Street Van Velsen corridors. What we are trying to do is prep the area this year in anticipation of shutting down the Crane Street Bridge for replacement next year. It's a project that's ongoing. In addition to the 2026 CHIPS paving, we have just paved Franklin Street behind us all here from Clinton to the park. That included work in Vale Park, which I hope you see and appreciate come Vale Park cleanup. The Vale Park project created a parking area and installed gates and fences to limit vehicular access to the back. It also connected the Vale Park Trail, Central Park Trail, to Franklin Street, where soon we'll be cutting the ribbon on the city's very first off-road cycle track. And in addition, we will be starting Craig Street, which is underway now with a water line replacement. That project is also a large public works project, which should see paving next year. Otherwise, on paving, we are starting on the J Street connector, which will connect J Street outside of City Hall in Little Italy with Knott Street. So there are several public works projects going on in the City Hall which will improve on pavement, new roads, existing roads, and I look forward to the community seeing the results of all this work. Thank you.
Thank you. In response to some of the targeted comments that were shared here tonight, within that individual's opportunity of free speech, I think it's important to myself make a clear statement. So just to ensure that it comes across clearly and unequivocally, I, Carl Williams, as a human being and also as an elected official within the city of Schenectady, support the LGBTQIA+ community in all facets of their existence, not just as human beings, but as residents of our community. Sincerely, I look forward to this month's or this year's Pride, not just to celebrate monthly, but also continuously, and not just out of fear of what my wife would say if I had a different stance, but truly, they're people. And I think if we allow those types of sentiments to reign true without an opposition or without an alternative, I think that reads very poorly on what this community is, not just to myself, but also to many of you that are in this room tonight, but also viewing at home. I want to first truly appreciate everyone that came out to speak in whatever capacity. I know some were more emotionally charged than others, but this is your ability to share your response to any action that we take or present to you as members of our community. This is democracy working, and I'm excited to hear that, or excited to see so many of you staying throughout the duration of this meeting, and I know other individuals have prior engagements or commitments they need to return to, but this is something that is not light on me. As an elected official, I do not present as getting it right on the first instance, but it is with this collaboration, with this inclusivity, you feeling that your voices do matter, that is how we enrich change throughout our community. So it does not feel like that is top down, but that is engaging at all levels. So truly, your voice matters, whether you believe it or not, but truly this evening was a stark reflection of just what happens when a community recognizes that there's something that they're not in agreement with, and feeling impassionate to come and share your opinions with us in this environment. Thank you. I think it's also important to outline that staying tuned in is also equally important. I think all too often we are charged by what is happening against our will, but these conversations are not the end-all be-all. This is one part of a deliberation. So with the public hearings, they will be returning back to committee on Monday, where we will take into account the opinions that were raised, and I am sure, I can only speak for myself, that that presents the opportunity for us to make certain adjustments. But sincerely, if you are taking on second or third hand accounts, you are missing the opportunity for yourself to remain engaged. And lastly, I think it is also important to make sure that there is an important reflection on past celebrations of Memorial Day, not just from my standpoint as a veteran, and I appreciate the presence of Councilwoman Dittorio and Councilman Chairs, but there needs to be a stark reminder of what we are allowed to do as citizens in this great nation because of the sacrifice made by others. So whether you have that deep commitment or that deep attachment to anyone that is service-driven, I just ask that you pause in a moment this year and just truly lay appreciation. And I often say if there is any individual who is donning a military service cap, they are doing so with the outward reflection of their service. So it is very important that you recognize that, truly recognize that. Thank you for your service. So with that, thank you for your commitment. Thank you to the work of our city council and to the work of our city employees. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councilman Chairs, seconded by Councilwoman Dittorio. All those in favor? Aye, we are adjourned. Have a good evening.